Hi friend, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're already subscribed. My name is Taylor and I'm a witch here on YouTube. Today we are going to be taking a look at the astrology of the new moon in Taurus on May 7th. It'll be going exact in the sky at 11:22 p.m. EDT. So go on Google and type in wherever your time zone is, converting that so you have a better idea of when you can expect this energy. But in general, 3 days before, 3 days after the new moon. This new moon is conjunct Venus, it's conjunct Jupiter and Uranus. So with this Venus influence, expect very artsy and inspired energy. It's a very potent time for creativity, very potent time for lovey relationship things, even if that's only in relation to yourself. With Jupiter and Uranus, it's about freedom loving, it's about out of the box thinking, it's about marching to the beat of your own drum and sort of like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, especially with that Venus influence creatively and things like that. This is a great new moon for you to slow down and enjoy sensory experiences with more intentionality. This is a great time for, I keep seeing people talk about on like Pinterest and TikTok about slow living, and I kept like hearing that in my head all day today because I'm always in a damn hurry. That's one thing about me, I'm always in a hurry for no reason. So I kept like hearing in my head like slow living. So make sure just to slow down and be with yourself, especially when it comes to sensory experiences around this new moon. And just taking a more intentional approach to how you live life. So whether that's just like you having your morning coffee or morning matcha, whatever you drink, and sipping it with more intentionalness, and really like feeling and tasting the flavor. Because so often, since we live in such a fast-paced society, especially if you live in the West, we're not really mindful about the things we're doing throughout our days. But this Taurus influence, again, especially with that Venus conjunct going on as well, is a great time to feel those sensory things really fully. It's also a great time, like I said already a little bit, for romance and creativity, going the extra mile with that. So if you're an artist of any kind, pushing yourself to write that book, to write that short story, pushing yourself to do that painting that you've been having like rattle in your head, create that video, things like that. This is a great time to tap into just creation for the sake of creation as well. It's a good time to feel your inner child and let that inner child out to play. You don't have to create for the sake of other people's consumption. You can create just for the sake of creation and what it makes you feel like to give birth to those things. So that's kind of like what it looks like collectively, and now we're going to jump into each of the 12 signs. These horoscopes will be for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can watch them for your sun sign, but it'll be most accurate for your rising sign. So if you want to go into Google really quick and type in like rising sign calculator, if you know your birth time and location, you'll be able to get that. All of the timestamps for each of the rising signs will be linked in the description box down below, so you can sort of click around, and I will see you in your horoscope. Okay, Aries, this new moon in Taurus is going to be happening in your second house of values and finances. So this is a good time for you to take stock of, are you where you want to be financially? Take a look at your accounts, take a look at your credit cards, things like that. See where your money is going. See what unnecessary subscriptions you have, unnecessary bills. See if you're spending way too much money on eating out or way too much money on treating yourself, things like that. See what needs to be cut and where you can like spare a little extra for things that are important to you, things that you want to indulge yourself in. This is just an ideal time astrologically in general for you to create a new budget and reevaluate your priorities. So if you're working on like saving up for a trip or you're saving up for a home, again, this is a good time to take that unnecessary spending away from those subscriptions or whatever, eating out too much, and putting them towards your long-term financial goals. This is a great time to do that. It's just a spotlight in general on your income potential as well. So this means if you already have a job, this is a good time to approach your boss, or your boss may approach you for an opportunity for a raise, a promotion, things like that. This is also a good time for you to put your resume out there if you're looking for a new job, just to kind of polish that up, looking for things on LinkedIn. Things like that is a good time for you to kind of push your earning potential, because that new moon energy of Taurus is shining in your second house of finances in general. As for your tarot card, I pulled the Five of Cups. So in relation to your financial sector, this Five of Cups tells me for you to be aware of the opportunities the universe is presenting for you to make money, because the Five of Cups often talks about looking at the lack in our lives. So be very careful with this new moon that you're not judging yourself too harshly for spending money on unnecessary things. It's not an energy where I want you to be nitpicky or judgmental towards yourself, but instead an energy where I want you to be intentional and aware of those things, because it's very easy for you to see where you've been spending money incorrectly or irresponsibly and get latched onto that and start to get in this lack mindset of, I don't have enough, like I'm not where I want to be financially, where the universe is really providing you these opportunities. It's not going to focus on me. Oh, there it goes. Okay, this is you here, okay? The universe is trying to direct your attention towards specific things, and again, that's where that income earning potential comes in. The universe is trying to direct your attention there, so be very aware of things that come up in your dreams or in your day-to-day life related to like winged beings. So that could be like angels in your day-to-day life, birds, also moths for some reason I'm hearing. Things like that are good signs for you that you are on the right path to pushing that income potential. So make sure to pay attention to any signs and synchronicities in that area. And that's all I have for you, Aries. Hi Taurus, this is your extra special new moon. So it is happening, of course, in your first house of self. So this relates to kind of a reset and refresh for you. It's an important time for you to be cutting ties with old identities you have and old stories that you've been playing out in your head. So what does that mean? Just in the sense of, if you're somebody who wants to start, we'll use the gym as an example. You want to start going to the gym, but you're always like, well, I've never gone to the gym before. Like, I've always just kind of done this. Like, I like to just lay on the couch and watch Netflix. Cutting ties with that old identity into creating this person who does like to go to the gym, who does like to work out. And that can be in relation to anything. It could be you're letting go of this old single identity of yourself, and in order to create what this identity of you looks like in a relationship. This is also a good time, an ideal time for you to cut ties with old people as well. Things that could be old people in situations that could be contributing to these old stories playing out, these old identities. So it's going to be different for everybody, of course. But as it relates to you, anything that you've felt like lately, you're like, this needs to go, is probably the thing that needs to go. But this is a perfect time for you to prioritize your peace and just setting boundaries with yourself, other people, situations, especially related to work as well. With setting boundaries, this is the time for you to set those boundaries both intrinsically within yourself, just energetic boundaries, and like if you have to verbalize it as well, this is the time for you to do that and for them to really stick. People are realizing that you're not messing around when it comes to this and what you're working on and creating. So the tarot card I have for you is the Six of Pentacles in reverse. I want it to focus, please. But this makes a lot of sense in relation to if you have limiting beliefs surrounding the way, I was going to say just money, but the way that you are able to cultivate abundance in your life in general. So whether that be an abundant group of friends, an abundant workplace life, an abundant source of income, things like that. This is really the spotlight on what I want you to examine around your old identities during this time, because you're no longer feeling like you want to be in a position where you're almost like giving this energy off to the universe and to the people around you, unintentionally, of course, where you're almost like kind of like begging for more and more. Like you could just feel like that you're never getting enough. And this is an energy of this new moon in general. So you're definitely not alone in that. But as far as it relates to cutting out the old stories, sit down with yourself and see, how could I rewrite this narrative into no longer seeing things through this lens where I have to beg and really struggle for them. Oh my gosh, where I have to beg and really struggle for these things to come into my life. So that is all I have for you, Taurus. Hi, Gemini. So this Taurus new moon is happening in your 12th house of spirituality and healing and the unconscious, all things that are hidden, stuff like that. I'm also a Gemini rising, so I'm excited to see what this new moon brings for me. But this is centered around releasing resentment and past pain. So anything that you've been holding on to, just old wounds that people leaving your life, situations changing in your life have left as like an imprint on your soul almost. This is a time for you to release those things and instead relax your mind. That's your priority right now, to relax your mind. This could be a beautiful time for inspiration and focus. If you're tapping into that energy of mindfulness and gratitude, that's key here. Because it's about releasing petty drama. It's about releasing outdated pain. Don't keep reliving the same experiences over and over again when you're no longer in them. You're in a whole new life, a whole new chapter. So this is about doors being opened, but you're not necessarily seeing the outputs of those efforts yet. You're just seeing what you feel like, and you're focusing on how you feel, which is and should be about relaxing and taking a particular focus on mindfulness and gratitude practices. So adding anything like that, like a meditation practice or a gratitude journal to your day would be ideal for you at this time and over the next 6 months as this new moon unfolds. And we see the culmination of its efforts in the full moon in November. So that is all I have for you, Gemini, with that. Your tarot card is the 8 of Pentacles here. And as you can see, he is working hard on building his little pentacle up. So this is about, it's really about working hard on your healing in a sense, but the trick here is like the hard work is about not making it hard at all. It's about like relaxing into it. So it might be hard at first to like lay the groundwork for those practices and like prioritizing mindfulness and stuff like that, because Gemini risings, I know from experience, are very go go go. Like you don't want to take time out of your day to just like recenter yourself, but this is very important for you. So it could feel like hard work at first, but your efforts are being rewarded, because with the 8 of Pentacles too, like you see his little pile of Pentacles. It's not gonna focus. There's pile of Pentacles there, I promise. But his little pile of Pentacles at the bottom, because he's building up his ability to practice mindfulness and gratitude over time and see the reaping of those rewards. So that is all I have for you, Gemini. Hi, Cancer. Okay, so this new moon is happening in your 11th house of connectivity. So this is an ideal time for involvement in your community, whether that just be within your group of friends, your social circle, or in your actual physical community, like you're doing some sort of community service, social justice work, volunteering, things like that. This is a good time for ideas of inspiration to come to you during this period. So pay attention to any epiphanies that you have that might spark your interest to make an impact in your world. It could be, like I said, as small as making your friend group more cohesive and more of a collective effort towards getting to do activities together. Maybe you're taking more of a leadership role in that way, or if you've been wanting to make change in a volunteer sense, in a social justice way, and contributing to your community, see what things spark your interest with different topics and efforts that you could put in there, and look around in your community for volunteer opportunities in this way. This is something that is really beneficial for you in this time, not only for your personal development, but for your professional development as well, because there is an underlying energy here of like fated meetings within your networking opportunities. So be aware of anything like that. It's likely that you won't be able to see the intensity or long-term benefits of this connection right away, but it's important that you tap into your awareness around where you would like to be in the future with your community, where you are now, and finding ways to get you where you want to be. And your tarot card is the 8 of Swords here. Okay, so this is really interesting to me because many Cancers, I think, during this new moon period will find themselves in a situation where they're kind of stuck. You know how there's fight, flight, or freeze, where they're kind of stuck in freeze mode, and you feel like there are a lot of people around you looking at you to make decisions, and this is very likely because you're already in some sort of a leadership position in your community or in your group of friends, and people are looking at you to make the tough decisions, but you're kind of stuck in freeze mode because you're not sure how to make everybody happy. And this is a new moon where you're learning you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. So you need to prioritize, well, one, making yourself happy, but also you're very much concerned with the overall happiness and cohesiveness of the greater good of the social structure. So keep that in mind moving forward. That is all I have for you, Cancer. Hi, Leos. Okay, so this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 10th house of career and status. This is an ideal time for networking, collaborating, and making offers and receiving offers, depending on if you have your own business or if you work for somebody else. This is a time where you are very likely to see those offers kind of coming in because you are being spotlighted in this way right now. So this is a good time for you to just up level your career in general and putting efforts into making money. So if you do own your own business, this is a good time for you to take those calculated risks towards growing your business and putting real efforts into marketing, product development, meeting with other people, registering with the Chamber of Commerce in your city, things like that, maybe getting a website designer. Anything that's been on your mind in relation to that, this is an ideal time to make those decisions. This isn't an ideal time to make spontaneous decisions around that, but if it's something that you've already been considering, this is a good time to do that. Also, if you don't work for yourself, if you work for somebody else, this is likely a time, I said there was another sign like this too, but it was a little bit different. I think it was Aries. Anyway, this is a time where you might be being highlighted at work. So you're getting employee of the month, you're getting promotions, you're getting raises, things like that. So be on the lookout for that. And if they're not coming in yet, you're being put in a position at work where you're on the track to getting those promotions. You're on the track for the higher ups looking at you in a certain light. And your tarot card is the 10 of Pentacles, which is a very nice card. It's one of the most positive cards in the deck. It talks about, as far as like status goes in relation to your 10th house as well, because it's not just about that career, it's about social status, like status of wealth, things like that. So I think that this is a new moon that's putting you on the track to creating financial stability for you and your family, regardless of if you have a family or not yet. If that's something that you want, that is absolutely in the cards, in the stars at this point in time. You're on the track to creating a really stable and abundant life for yourself. So that is all I have for you, Leo. Hi, Virgo. So this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 9th house of expansion. This is an ideal time to broaden your horizons in general. So if you've been thinking about booking a trip, taking classes, learning something new, even if it's just as simple as watching a documentary or reading a book on a topic that you are interested in, this is a perfect time to do it. This is an ideal time for you to just kind of expand your worldview, your perspective in that way. Also, if this is a time where you are interested in just thinking about, if you've been having like in the back of your mind, you want to combine like this education and entrepreneurship spirit, this is extra emphasized under this new moon. So if you've been thinking about creating a course or starting a side hustle, this is a really good time to do those things because of the spotlight on that expansion. But for my people who aren't, they don't have that entrepreneurial spirit, they just want to like hang out and enjoy this new moon in other ways. Like I said, it could be literally as simple as watching a documentary or reading a new book, anything like that you've had on your mind. If you've been thinking that you want to take a specific trip to somewhere new, this is a good time to do it because all of those things are ways of expanding your mind, expanding your perspective on life, because a lot of Virgo risings, I think, have been feeling stuck for a while in their circumstances. Like you kind of feel like you've been trapped in a little box and like your day-to-day feels very repetitive, feels very mundane, and this new moon is a way of shaking that up for you and helping you see the bigger picture of life. So your tarot card is the Wheel of Fortune, which makes a lot of sense given the different stuff you have going on, because you're in control of like turning the karmic wheel at this time. The Wheel of Fortune can go either way, but you're spinning it back around so it's going in your favor again, because like I said, it's not that things necessarily haven't been going in your favor, but you feel very stagnated and you're ready to give the wheel a spin, shake things up, and take a small risk in that way in order for you to feel alive again and make yourself feel like passionate about something. So that is all I have for you, Virgo. Hi Libra, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 8th house of transformation. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is gonna be sort of an uncomfortable new moon for you. The more that you avoid these emotions that you've been experiencing, the more uncomfortable it's going to be, because the 8th house really spotlights on like the shadow self, on things that are unfavorable to us, things like that. So it can feel like a really uncomfortable period if you're trying to suppress those further and further down. So I encourage you to be honest with yourself and honest with the people around you who are close to you about how you feel, because the more open and honest you're able to be with them, the better off that you will be. Otherwise, this is going to be a really uncomfortable process, because it's all about transformation. It's very much so phoenix rising from the ashes type vibe. So you might have to feel a little bit of pain in order to get there. And processing hard emotions is just sitting with them, and sitting with them for as long as they need to be sat with. So you might feel tempted at this time to escape into drugs and alcohol, gambling, shopping, other forms of addictions, things like that, escapism. But I encourage you to instead challenge yourself to sit with them as much as you possibly can, because this is how healing happens. Healing happens by feeling. And your tarot card is the Death card, which very fitting for the 8th house, very fitting for your situation. And of course, this isn't, in 99% of cases, a literal death, but instead a death of old self, a death of old circumstances, a death of old identities, things like that. And what's really drawing my attention on these cards are the people like bowing down to this symbol of death. And it could feel a lot like things are out of your control right now, and I think that might really bother you. But I encourage you as much as you possibly can, I know it's easier said than done, to lean into this energy, and you're kind of like gaining control in a way. It's like you're tricking yourself by releasing control. So that is all I have for you, Libra. Hi Scorpio. So this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 7th house of partnerships. This could be, of course, business partnerships or romantic partnerships. So there is an emphasis around this new moon, for those of you who are not in a relationship, in choosing somebody who has distinct different strengths and talents than you do, because Scorpios can tend to, I have a Scorpio moon, so it's not quite the same as my Scorpio risings, but you can have a tendency to want to attract people who are more similar to you. But this is a challenge in the sense of, this new moon asks you to see what it is that you truly want in a partner, business partner or romantic, and what could they really bring to your life in order to expand you. What could you bring to them to expand them? Because if we're always with people who are exactly the same as us, we're never really growing. So using this as an opportunity to see how it would look like for you to be with somebody, say you're like real pessimistic, you're like real negative, okay, but you're being with somebody who's like very, very sunshiny, very optimistic, things like that. Would that make you feel uncomfortable? Would it make you feel whole? Use that experience and kind of trace it back and see where those feelings really come from. What is it about that makes you feel uncomfortable? What is it about that that makes you feel What is it about that makes you feel uncomfortable? What is it about that makes you feel comfortable? Things like that. This is also a time for people who are in a relationship, for relationships to be taken to the next level. So if you're already dating somebody, engagements, if you're already in like a newer relationship, this could look like just emotional intimacy in general, things like that. So be on the lookout for anything like that in your relationships. Your tarot card is the King of Swords. So this is a challenge here to not fall too much into your logical mind when you're navigating these relationships. Again, like I was saying, like I want you to really ask yourself what it is that you want in partners of all kinds, business partners, romantic partners, and look at it from both the logical standpoint, but also let yourself tap into that very scorpionic emotional side of you that is able to trace it back to a much deeper place, because you are obviously a very deep sign. And so even though things might look logical on the surface with, I want somebody who's good at math because I'm good at English, it might look like that, but like really sit with those things and go a little bit deeper with it. Challenge yourself and see where it's really coming from within you from an emotional standpoint. that is all I have for you, Scorpio. Hi, Sag. So this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 6th house of routines and health. So this looks like you getting realistic about your health goals, your gym goals, your everyday routine goals, things like that. Like if you're someone that's just been like, you feel like, I don't know, you wake up at 10 a.m. every day and then you roll out of bed and drink pop and you have candy for breakfast, things like that. But you're like, okay, I need to stop fucking around. Like it's time for me to get serious. I need to have 3 balanced meals a day. I need to get out of bed and go for a run in the morning. I need to fit it into my work schedule, things like that. Don't go overboard with it. This is a time for you to be realistic about those things. So this looks a lot more like what can you add in rather than cut out. So for example, if you want to add in a nightly run to your routine, you're not thinking about it as cutting out your like relaxation time. You're adding in a healthy routine like running to your nightly schedule. It's a good time for you to get clear with yourself on what is working in your routine and what is not working. So if you, from the opposite perspective, if you have been going into the gym, you know what pops into my mind? 75 hard, we'll use that. If you've been doing 2 workouts a day for the last 60 days or the last 75 days and you've completed 75 hard, but you're like, it's not realistic or sustainable for me to do these 2 workouts a day with my schedule. So this is a good time for you to restructure and what's the word I'm looking for? Reconfigure it. There we go. Reconfigure it. How to make your schedule work for you and not you work for your schedule. This is just about how you can make your life more efficient in general. So it's not just about working out and health, it's also about organization. It's about your cleaning schedule, just how you do everything, like how early you wake up in the morning, how late you go to bed at night, things like that. And your tarot card, very fittingly, is the 2 of Pentacles, which is all about balance. It's quite literally like a balancing act, and that's what I want you to do with what is working, what is not. A little bit of take, a little bit of give, because I don't want you to jump headfirst into the 3 a.m. I'm getting my life together trap, because that is not a sustainable way for you to set goals. Starting small and adding realistic goals over time is much more sustainable and realistic for your day-to-day life. So that is all I have for you, Sag. Hi, Cap. So this new moon Taurus is happening in your 5th house of creativity. So this is all about using creativity to manifest, which depending on the other placements going on in your chart, I think might be an interesting challenge for you as someone who is usually as grounded and practical as you are. But maybe that just means you take an extra grounded, extra practical approach to manifesting. No bells, no whistles, just the manifesting. But this is a time to challenge yourself to get specific details about what you want to create, about what your desires are. This is a good time to visualize specifically. If you can't visualize like me, this is a good time to like tell yourself a story as you're falling asleep, but get really specific about the details of that. So if you're somebody who wants to get married this year, start thinking about like what your dress would look like, what your tux would look like, who would be in your wedding, what the food would be like, things like that. Get really, really specific about the different little details. Get caught up in those details. This is just about like leaning into the process of manifesting that is very fun. So if you are somebody who manifests like with specific intentions, with no bells, no whistles, things like that, this is about making it more fun, leaning into that inner child. Another way I like to manifest, just throwing this out there, for some reason this popped into my head, I like to use my Sims. I like to download like custom content and like have my Sim do the things that I want to be creating in my life, because it's a really fun way to visualize. You're creating like a vision board essentially, with like tiny you on the Sims. So it's a good way to see those things and have a lot of fun while you're doing it, because manifesting is supposed to be fun. Creation is supposed to be fun. So this new moon is a reminder for you to have fun when you're creating. You're creating your dream life, you're creating your desires. And your tarot card is the King of Pentacles in reverse. And I think this just speaks to, again, like letting go of the output, because sometimes with manifesting we can get so caught up in our desired outcome of like what it is we're creating that we don't have any fun with the process. And the whole point really is supposed to like have fun with the process, have fun on the journey to get there. So this is your reminder with this new moon to do this at this time, Cap. And that is all I have for you. Hi Aquarius, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 4th house of home and family. So this is a good time for you to prioritize time with your inner circle. So with your actual family, with people who are like family to you, your pets, things like that. Just spending good, valuable time around your home and family life in general is really good at this time. Having a good meal with them or having like a spa day, leaning into those sensory experiences of Taurus and the Venus influence on this Taurus new moon is going to end up being a really good, memorable experience for all of you. So having like a nice, you could host even, honestly, it would be even more ideal for you to host a dinner at your house or go to your family home, somewhere that feels like home to you, and have this nice meal. Or Mother's Day is right around the corner too, scheduling something with your mother or a mother-like figure in your life to have a spa day, get your nails done, things like that. This is an ideal time for you to do those things. Also, for those of you who have been experiencing a family feud at this time, this is a period where you should expect to be given an olive branch or give somebody an olive branch to start to reconcile the things that have been going on in your family life right now. You'll know if that applies to you or if it does not, but don't be surprised if the ending of a family feud comes to a closure at this time period. This also might be a period where you want to start decorating your home a little bit more, wanting to spice it up, have it more reflective of your personality, have some more color around things like that. So this is a good time to do that. Don't go overboard. Just start with a few like throw pillows, maybe some posters, things like that. And your tarot card is the Two of Swords, which I think speaks perfectly to this family feud going on here. So you might just be getting fed up with two conflicting sides. It's very likely that you're stuck in the middle of this family feud. I want to say even like just what I'm getting from the card, it could be siblings or like a sibling-like dynamic, and you're stuck in the middle of this influence and you're either giving out an olive branch or somebody is giving up an olive branch. But I wouldn't be surprised if you are the peacemaker during this situation, Aquarius. So be on the lookout for that, for kind of calming over the storm with your family during this time period. And that is all I have for you. Hi Pisces, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 3rd house of communication. So a great time for you, especially to write something creatively, a short story. Also starting a journal for just some sort of personal expression would be good. Passion projects in general, good times to start those things. If there's been something on your mind, like you're like always telling a friend, I want to start a podcast with you, this is a good time to do that. Also a good time to start a YouTube channel, things like that. Anything that allows you to output your creativity is a good thing to do around this time period. This is also an ideal period for you if you want to take stuff like this seriously, like if you want to write a book for real, if you want to get a YouTube partnership or get sponsorships with a podcast, things like that. This is a good time to plant the seeds for you to cultivate an audience showcasing your work. It's a good time for you to manifest the right people, your tribe, finding your work and seeing your influence in order for you to grow successfully in this area. So anything around that kind of stuff at this point will be great. If you're not somebody who wants to create a platform or write a book, things like that, this is also just a good time for you to communicate with the other people around you about your feelings, like a trusted friend, a partner, or communicating those feelings into a journal. Also an ideal time for communicating your feelings in therapy, things like that. So the tarot card I have for you is the 10 of Pentacles in reverse here, but do not fret. This is just because you're laying the groundwork of cultivating this audience, cultivating these efforts. It's not something you're going to see the rewards for overnight. This is more of a slow burn period. So you're not at the stage yet where you're at the end all be all fairy tale ending, but instead you're like planting the seeds, slowly getting there. And make sure not to get frustrated with this process so much so that like you get obsessed with the perfection of it and you get too caught up in that to actually ever create anything. So that is all I have for you, Pisces.